We live in a culture of constant consumption, from a morning latte to a mid-afternoon energy bar, straight through to a midnight snack. The modern human rarely goes more than a few hours without eating. And against that backdrop of endless grazing, the internet is filled with claims about the miraculous healing powers of intermittent fasting. Strip away the online hype, and the actual science of fasting is remarkably straightforward. It ignores the specific ingredients on your plate to focus on a single variable: the clock. This diagram illustrates the most common baseline for this biological schedule, known as the 16-8 method. You abstain from calories for 16 straight hours and consume all your daily food within an 8-hour window. By creating a prolonged absence of food, you force your body into a biological countdown that reconfigures how it powers itself. To understand that countdown, we have to look at the baseline state. Right after you finish a meal, your body enters fed mode. You are fueled by immediate external energy. This visual tracks exactly what happens to that energy. Glucose from food becomes your primary fuel. Insulin levels spike, pushing sugar directly into your cells. Any excess energy gets boxed up and locked away as stored fat. If you continue to graze throughout the day, your body remains in this baseline storage mode. It runs on the food you just swallowed, meaning it never needs to tap into its own internal reserves. The biological countdown begins when we push past the 4-hour mark. As your digestive system empties out, your internal environment starts to shift. Looking at the data from a fast, we see that insulin levels begin to fall as the external supply of glucose dries up. Because there is no new sugar entering the system, your overall blood sugar levels begin to stabilize. To maintain that flat line of energy without food, your liver acts as a secondary fuel tank. It releases a stored form of sugar called glycogen. By slowly draining these reserves, your body keeps you moving without a single calorie coming in from the outside. Simply by surviving on its internal pantry, the body proves a vital point. We do not require a constant drip of external calories to function. As we enter the 12 to 16-hour window, the liver's glycogen reserves finally run dry. Out of easy fuel, the body is forced into a metabolic switch. To survive, it must break open stored fat and convert it into usable energy. Because the body is now actively burning its own tissue for fuel, this specific window is the primary reason the 16-8 schedule is linked to weight loss. But pushing the clock past the 16-hour mark triggers the climax of the fast, a complex process known as autophagy. This animation shows autophagy in action. It is essentially a microscopic cleanup system. Because your cells are no longer managing the heavy biological burden of digesting food, they can spend their energy locating internal debris, recycling waste materials, and dissolving their own damaged components. Scientists are still mapping exactly how this cellular recycling works in humans, but it is the suspected mechanism behind fasting's documented benefits for brain and heart health. The fasting clock facilitates fat loss, but it also grants cells the necessary downtime to repair and strengthen their own basic functions. Pulling back, we have to look at the practical reality of this routine. Intermittent fasting is a biological tool. It cannot erase the consequences of eating highly processed food. In fact, this chart reveals why fasting often drives weight loss. The primary factor is simple math. When you compare 16 hours of scattered grazing against a compressed 8-hour window, people naturally consume fewer total calories. The body will also fight the restriction at first. In the early days of a fasting schedule, it is common to experience hunger pangs, headaches, irritability, and low energy as your system attempts to adapt. The mechanics of the fasting clock are precise, but they are fragile. If you endure a 16-hour fast only to binge eat during your open window, those cellular benefits are canceled out. It is also important to note that intentionally overriding natural hunger cues carries risk. Fasting is generally discouraged for pregnant women, individuals managing specific medical conditions, or anyone with a history of eating disorders. If you are healthy and want to experiment, the safest way to start is small. Begin with a 12-hour overnight fast, eating dinner a bit earlier and breakfast a bit later. Support that schedule by drinking plenty of water while the clock is ticking, and prioritize high-quality sleep to help regulate your natural hunger hormones. Intermittent fasting relies on evolution, not miracles. When applied with consistency and a focus on balanced nutrition, it offers a proven way to intentionally reclaim control over your own biological clock.